Hello, councillors, staff members. Thank you for joining us. I do declare this OCM meeting open. In doing so, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Noongar Wadani people, and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay our respects to all members of the Aboriginal community and their culture, and to elders past, present and emerging. Thank you. Thank you for anyone who is joining us online. There's nobody in the gallery yet, but there may be a few joining us online. We have received an apology from Councillor Gassop. I haven't heard from anyone else as yet. I'm not sure if anyone else has. We may see them shortly, perhaps. Moving along, we have received a declaration of interest from Councillor Andrew on item 12.1. It is an impartial interest and he will be staying in the room for that item. Is there any other declarations of interest, councillors? Thank you. Councillor, all good? Yeah, thank you. Thanks, councillors. The minutes of the OCM, could we have somebody move that they are true and correct? Thank you, Councillor Quain. Seconded by Councillor Andrew. Likely to be any debate on that, councillors? There's not. I'll put that. Those in favour, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. The advisory committee members, somebody happy to move those? You, Councillor Kozsek, seconder. Councillor Andrew, thank you. Likely to be any debate? I'll put that. That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. We have not received any petitions, presentations or deputations for this evening. So we'll go into the councillor itself. We do need 10.3.2 needs to come out. It does require an absolute majority, and we are taking the working group trials separately, so that will be coming out as well, 10.3.1. At this stage, they are the only two coming out for discussion, and we will deal with Councillor Steck's motion as well. Is there any others that anyone would like to discuss? If that's the case, somebody happy to move the remainder carried. Thank you, Councillor Quain. Second by Councillor Kozsek. I'll put that. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. We'll go on into item 10.3.1. So, councillors, I did indicate last week we will take these separately. So how we'll deal with this, we'll deal with, like it is as for 1A, 1B, 1C, we can deal with those separately. So I'll ask somebody if they're happy to move the working group 1A, Councillor Quain, second by Councillor Ben. So that's the Disability Access and Inclusion Committee. That's moved by Councillor Quain, second by Councillor Andrew. Is there likely to be any debate on this, councillors? If that's the case, I'll put 1A. Those in favour, please indicate. Those against? That's carried. 1B, is somebody happy to move 1B? Councillor Quain, seconded. Councillor Brown, likely to be any debate on this one, councillors?
Can I just ask a question?
Can I ask a question? Sure.
Yeah. I just wanted to check, just maybe for all the 3 working groups, what's the plan in August when the 6-month trial is finished? Are we going to decommission the committees altogether? Because currently we have an international committee meeting and then we have a workshop that alternates. So I just wanted to query, what's the sudden rush to make it as a working group for the international committee? And what are the plans in August? Are we going to say we're going to decommission these committees and go back to the working group structure? The reason I'm asking is partly
Sorry,
because...
Councillor Ramesh, just for your understanding of questions, there's no background information. You can ask a question.
Sure.
You can ask a follow-up question when I answer that, but there's no background sort of debate as part of the question. So in answer to that, obviously the CEO will provide a report back. The rationale of trialling the working group has been outlined for that process. So regardless, this council will make a decision based on the councillor for the CEO's report that comes back in August. That'll give time for obviously this council to determine what the makeup will be post-October after the election. That'll then obviously be part of whether that's continue as a working group at that stage or whether the trial period wasn't successful and whether there's a recommendation to come back to the committee. But regardless, this council will make that decision in August. CEO, is there anything further on that?
Thank you, Mayor. I think you covered that really well. There's nothing further to add.
That answer your question, Councillor Ramesh?
Not exactly. What I wanted to ask Mr. Mayor was, are we going to have any specific KPIs for this working group before we make a decision in August when it comes back to discussion?
CEO, you have a response to that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I think the essence of the trial is, seeing how the working groups work, and I think they're much more outcomes based, which is how it's worked in some of the other committees. I might ask the Director of Corporate and Community if she wants to add anything.
Through the chair, we will follow an action-based approach with those working groups like we're doing with the Bragg one. And that's proven quite successful. And then during the 6 months, we can see what is required to develop in the terms of reference and what we need to do to circle back to council on the outcomes of those groups. So I guess the 6 months will teach us what to do.
Answered your questions. Councillor Smith, do you have a question?
Yes, sort of following on from Councillor Ramesh, I just want to ask the question. There's no idea of disbanding these groups because they're important groups to the city and some have been going a long, long time. So there's no attempt to get rid of them at all? Okay.
No. See ya.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Smith, for the question. This is really about how they best operate, so whether as a committee or as a working group. So there's no plan to abolish these committees. It's really to trial them as a working group and see if that works, can work better, from an operational and elected member perspective, and then bring the report back, which you can, if the trial's been successful and it's working well, it can stay as a working group. If it's proven not to work that well, then you can still retain that as a committee.
Okay. So, councillors, that was moved by Councillor Quain, second by Councillor Brown. Was there going to be any debate against this item? Okay, if that's the case, I'll move 1B. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for the questions. 1C, the Youth Advisory Council, Councillor Andrew, a seconder to that. Thank you, Councillor Quain. Likely to be a debate on this one, councillors? Thank you. I'll put that. Those in favour, please indicate. That's also carried. Thank you, councillors. And I'll just deal with item 2 as well, which obviously need to get that done. So somebody happy to move part 2 of this, which is just to request that CEO bring that report back. Thank you, Councillor Smith. And a seconder, thank you. Likely, Councillor Quain second that. I don't likely to be in debate, councillors. I'll put that. Those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, councillors. Thanks for that. We do have the 10.3.2 is the bushfire local law undertakings. Again, this does require an absolute majority. Is somebody happy to move this particular item? Councillor Andrew, seconder. Councillor Quain. Likely to be any debate on this, councillors? I'll put that. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Councillors, we're at item 12.1, which is Councillor Steck's motion on notice. I haven't heard from Councillor Steck, but I'm also mindful that the next zone meeting is the 22nd of November, so if we don't deal with this, we might not be able to get that in for the next zone agenda. So happy if somebody wants to move this, that we can deal with it. Councillor Kozisek, is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Quain. Likely to be any debate, councillors?
Can I just ask a question
Sure,
again?
absolutely.
It's a healthcare related matter.
Yep.
So can I just ask the mayor through you, is how is the council going to influence this decision? Because having been in the healthcare, the CEO.
I'll just go Councillor Ramesh again, just with that
Sure,
background.
okay.
Just, it just needs to be that, it's quite clear on there, Councillor Ramesh. So the questions around councillors' input to that, and I suppose it's similar to some of the other motions we've had through council, it's an advocacy position. This one in particular asking us to write to the Walga zone in particular, and then for them to go from there. So it's more of an advocacy position rather than what council is going to do or not do. But CEO, do you have anything further to add on that?
Nothing further, Mayor.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Ramesh? Yeah. Is there likely to be any debate, councillors? That's the case. I'm happy to put the motion. Those in favour, please indicate. Those against, that's carried. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. That does bring us to a close. A little bit shorter than our last meeting, but thank you all very much for joining us. And I'll see some of you at the IF conference. Councillor Steele was an apology. Thanks, Councillor Steele. I'll declare this meeting closed at 5:40. Thank you very much.